Small 2 made a massive choice to kill this one character, and it paid off, and we're going to talk about why. I've always found Smiles to be a little sinister at times, like there's usually something fake behind them, but this film takes the cake, and while being so similar to the first film, this sequel stands alone quite well. Why is that? Let's talk about it. After witnessing a patient's horrifying death, Dr. Rose Cotter finds herself haunted by an eerie, malevolent force that manifests through unsettling smiles. As the entity spreads by feeding on trauma, Rose races against time to uncover its origins while battling her own spiraling sanity. But the deeper she digs, the closer she comes to losing everything, including herself. Smile 2, same thing basically happens again. I'm sorry, that's a terrible way to give a synopsis to a film, but it does happen again. But more happens than just that though. The story changes, obviously.
You remember Louis Fergoli
From high school?
I went to his apartment, but when I showed up... Louis?
Boo! Jump scare. I was truly hesitant to give this film a good review because the beginning just kind of ruined my expectations. And the key word there is expectations. It's my own fault. But I need to set my expectations aside and see why they done what they done. Smile 2 is a film that I regard as a contending classic when put against its original, and that's a rare thing for me to do. The film covers a theme in film often less explored, especially as a horror film, while being shot beautifully as well. This movie bravely opens with its most disappointing reality, that the really well-liked character Joel had to die at the beginning. Outside of this series, Kyle Gallner is loved in the horror community, loved. A supporting lead in the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Jennifer's Body.
Why don't you just come by my place? Well, this is random.
This isn't really your house, is it?
What a little player. And even Wes Craven's iconic Red Eye.
The white zone is for immediate loading and unloading of passengers.
Feel at all like your supernatural typical horror film. Joel was the false hope, and as disappointing as that might be, it was an important reminder that in this film, the good guy won't win. But let's just even focus on the 6.5 straight minutes of adrenaline-akin action he was gracefully given. In some way, it was the most I can't see where this will end section of the film. In Joel doing the right thing, he was trying to save the woman he loved in the first film, took on the spirit, and he had to be brought back to conclude the story. And we can argue the choice in them doing this until the sun goes up, but look at it this way. Their choice in going for an all-new cast was very brave, and it worked well enough to the point you can sit back and respect the choice they made, because not a lot of sequels will likely completely separate itself from the last one. It's very risky, and that's a bold move, but it did pay off, sadly enough. Smile is a film series that was loosely inspired by the short Laura Hasn't Slept.
This incredible short film, Laura Hasn't Slept.
Are you certain you're not dreaming right now?
And this film series, it primarily hoped to explain the effects of trauma through the horror lens, which is moderately original alone.
I have to face it.
How does it make you feel?
Specifically though, it features themes of guilt, PTSD, and its sequels ups its torturous exposition and focuses on making the stakes bigger, much bigger. And like we said, controversially it separated itself from the material of the original. Character arc wise, of course, it obviously held on to the original premise. Whether you're happy with the script, as it did the original, it was paced appropriately and it felt fresh. And that's a lacking counterpart of modern horror, would you believe? Some said, and I say some said, it is better than the original film. Yes, Randy, you heard me. Better than the original film.
Are you suggesting that someone's trying to make a real-life sequel?
Stab 2? Who'd want to do that? Sequels suck.
No, wow.
Come on, man. Oh, please. By definition alone, they're...
It dived deep into the addiction side of guilt and trauma, with the main character getting hooked on non-prescription painkillers. An easy spot of addiction can be said on not seeing the distinct confirmation of reality, which with the proposition of this film was a beautiful tool in layering the evil and what way it works in. It would be a spoiler to currently tell you this evil can't be beat. Truth be told, I don't know, we don't know, as the third film is in pre-production and thus that might be the end. But for now, currently, this is the reality and where it stays. A genuine discussion for what's effective in modern jump scares is worthy of a conversation. But let me tell you, this film greatly fits into one in which cheap isn't the category in which the film is a part of. It's gorier and it's bold, and it's almost impossible not to feel the immersion of how the film performs in its heavier moments. There's this part of me that feels like even if I wanted to, it's hard to sympathize with a lot of celebrities. And with social media, it's very ingrained to ignore the injustices of somebody based off just their fame. But Parker Finn successfully wrote a story that shows the exploitation of fame and young women in particular, and it didn't feel cliche or like it was your average 2020 horror film that makes everything so deep and so personal. I'm not going to say the W word, that sounds like smoke. And not to spoil the ending, but having the curse be passed on to a main stage in front of thousands of people rather than just a close circle of people like the first film just felt like the ultimate ending. And in fairness, Joel did have a solid plan on a way to pass on the curse. His plan was built around the idea that if he killed one criminal while forcing the other one to witness it, that would transfer the curse from the murdered criminal to the one that's left alive. However, obviously things went wrong and both of the criminals ended up dead.
Die! It needs somebody to fucking pass you. If you die, it won't fucking work. Look at me! Stay alive, you piece of shit. Stay alive, you piece of shit!
We'll freeze here for a second because, in case you don't understand, for this curse to skip him, he needs somebody else to witness the death, and their trauma would bond them to whatever this evil is. And he didn't want to die, obviously, so he made his own justice and chose to pass it to somebody who had been known to kill an innocent woman. Joel is a cop, by the way. But an unsuspecting character named Lewis accidentally witnessed the whole thing, and he apologized to Lewis. He told him it was never meant for him, but unfortunately Joel died anyway. The plan of this sequel was unfortunately just bigger than Joel's character, so killing him off just was the right move to make. Even though he was one of the most loved characters, if not, he was the loved character from the first film. I don't really think there was anyone else who people wanted to see come out on top more than him. It's hard to say if this film would have been better solely as a sequel that picked up from the original. I know I really wanted to see Joel and how he dealt with the evil following the closed curtains of the first one, but that would have been at such a big cost of this whole story that followed after his 6 minutes of life, and the result we did get was very satisfactory. Who's to say if Joel survived, Lewis didn't have to go through all that intense lead up to his own death, which would have further not passed on to the lead in the film, would the story have had as much impact? Because it's a fair assumption to say that boldly killing the most liked character in order to execute your own vision and turn the gears up on your very creation is absolutely commendable and important as a filmmaker, and that choice is one you have to make. And how it ended left room for even bigger expansions of the story. I mean, this curse won't just affect one person, it'll be upward of 100,000 people. The next movie is going to be crazy. But I'll end off on this note. How I see it. Smile brilliantly critiques the ways in which society tends to dismiss mental health struggles. We see that trauma, even though represented in demon form, completely consumes you. And we can say it's a lesson on how important it is to confront your inner demons and seek help. The consequences of ignoring your own struggles, even if not passing it on to somebody else. Horrible things feed off isolation. And that's not a fairy tale. If you need help, please seek it. Thanks for watching.